Hello, YouTube, and welcome to another episode of Angry Dave's Adult RC. I'm your host, Angry Dave. This episode, we're going to get into some weathering, which I haven't really done much of, so it's going to be a bit of a learning experience for everybody. And we're going to be doing that on my 41 Willys Jeep. Won this in a giveaway on a channel called RC Voodoo. I'll put a link in the video description. And it was pre-weathered by another channel called ACRC. I'll also put a link to them in the description. A couple of great channels. And they put together this really nice Jeep, did a giveaway, and I won it. So I'm going to take it a few steps farther. Eventually we're going to get into doing some metal upgrades and things like that to it. I'm going to make it a pretty cool trail truck. Should be pretty tough. Be able to beat on it a little bit, at least, without killing it. We're going to take the weathering a little bit farther. What we're going to do this time around is we got this nice canvas soft top. Looks brand new. Obviously doesn't match the truck, so we're going to weather that. We have the rods that support the roof. Those are nice and fucking shiny. We need to make that stop. And inside the Jeep, we're going to detail the dash and, front driver compartment area there. It's all just green plastic. We're going to take care of that. So let's bust out some paint and some other shit and get on it. Alright, so the first thing we're going to have to do is one of these straps is missing the Velcro. I have some Velcro, so we'll cut it and sew that on there. And the other one, it's not missing, it's stuck right here to the other half, but it's obviously not sewn on anymore, so I'll have to fix that as well. The other problem is it didn't come with a crossbar. It's got loops on the front of the top that are supposed to attach to something that's supposed to, I'm guessing, drop into those holes, but that part doesn't exist. I'm not sure why, but it's just going to be a scratch build, I guess. So let's start working on those two problems. Alright, there's that side sewn back on, ready to go. Now take this little guy that I cut out, sew it to the other side, and we'll be ready to start fabricating this front bar. Alright, so the sewing's done, and the front bar is made. I didn't really bother showing it because it was nothing magical. I folded a little piece of sheet metal in half to make it a little stronger, and cut it straight out, left a couple of tabs for it to sit on top of the window frame. Nothing magical. So we're going to take this off now. Let me slide this out from underneath. It's a little bit tricky to get it on, but as long as you're not taking it on and off all the time, it shouldn't be a big deal. So yeah, just little tabs that go down through the holes, and then I wired it on there so that it can't flip. Works pretty good. I'll paint it OD green and then weather it in with everything else. You barely even notice it. Alright, time to start doing some damage to this top. So the first thing we're going to do is take some sandpaper, and we're going to go over the whole thing inside and out and try to knock that shine off. I can see the difference between this one and this one. I don't know if it shows up on camera, but it's definitely dulling out and it's a little bit frayed looking. So, yeah, keep going. definite difference. Alright, so now that we got a little more overall worn look on it, took the shine off of it, we got some fraying. You know, it's just a whole lot more dull than it was, like it should be. We're going to go ahead and throw it back on loosely, just so that it sits more or less where it normally would, and we'll start adding some stains and some other light damage. Alright, so now we're going to make a little bit of a wash and do some staining. Start out with a few drops of water, a couple drops of flat black, some red, and some green. Alright, I think we're pretty much there. We got worn, we got some fray, it looks fucking dingy, got some staining on top, got some staining in lots of different places actually. Yeah, I think it's looking pretty good. We're not going for derelict, you know, I could put a bunch of big tears in it and repairs and all kinds of nonsense like that, but just want it to look like an old, really well-used truck. We're going to add a little bit more rust and rot to it just to make it a little bit crustier than it is, but we're not going for a ton nastier than it is overall right now. So that looks like a good spot to be with the top. It looks pretty shitty, but not too shitty. So next thing we're going to do is get some pictures of the real version of this dashboard, and then we're going to break out some paint and see what we can make it look like. But real quick, right before we do that, we got to put some rust solution on these things so they can be drying while we're doing the dash. Alright, so to rust these, we're going to be using Sophisticated Finishes Iron Metallic Surfacer. So we're going to put on a coat of this, just paint it on like paint. We're going to let it dry a little bit, then put on a second coat, then let that dry for 12 hours. Then after that, we can apply the antiquing solution, which really is just the activator. It's like an acid, and it makes it rust. You put it on there, leave it for a little while, put on a second coat, third coat. The more you put on, the more it rusts, and you make it look exactly how you want. So let's get these set up in something that'll hold them and start spreading. Alright, so everything I can find out about these Jeeps says that those gauges were black with white lettering. And then these 1, 2, 3 squares right here are actually little metal placards with instructions of some kind on them. Pretty much everything else stays green. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and hit these rods with the activator and let them start rusting, and then we'll go back and finish detailing up the dash. So there we go. Got the detail painting done on the dash, got the plaques, got the gauges. Now we're going to go back and weather the dashboard a little bit farther, get some dinge on there, and kind of wash out those details a little bit just so they don't look so obviously like paint marks and look like maybe once upon a time they were actually printing. Alright, so here we got some Tamiya Weathering Master powders, pastes, powders, whatever they're kind of a cross. We're going to use this to dinge up the dash a little bit. We're going to use the soot in the B here to kind of darken things up and just kind of make them dingy and dirty and old looking. And then we're going to use maybe some of the rust and then maybe some of the orange rust in the C to kind of, add a little bit of rust here and there across the dash, just kind of maybe get it in the edges around stuff where you would start to see it creeping out in a real vehicle and things like that. So nothing real magical to it, just get it on the applicator and start shoving it around. Alright, there we go. Not looking too bad. Washes out the details, which in this case we actually want. A little bit of rust, a little bit of dust, dirt, just grungy, grimy, dirty old dashboard. Alright, so we're going to give it a quick shot of flat clear, and then we'll throw the top on and see how she's looking. Still working on finishing up the rust on the roof support rods here. It's taken many more coats of activator than I thought it was going to. So as soon as these things are crusty looking, we'll pop them on and put the top on. Alright, we got some nice rusty rods. Let's grab that top and see how it looks. Alright, so there it is. Nice, dingy, dirty, frayed, worn out looking top for this Jeep. So it's another step closer. We're going to keep plugging along on this thing. We're going to bring the body along and make it a little nastier. There's a few things like the paint finish, even when you look past all the rust, it's just a little too even, so we're going to have to do a little bit of damaging for that. We're going to knock down the brightness of these white parts, the star and the lettering on the outside. We're going to do some more detailing on the inside. We got lots of metal upgrades coming for it. It's a pretty cool little truck, so we're going to keep plugging away, make it super badass little trail rig. So go ahead and drop us a like if you like what we're doing here with this thing. Leave a comment, share the video with a friend. Check us out on our new social media pages. Check us out on our new website and check out some of our new merch. And we'll see you next time on Adult RC, where grown-up time is playtime.